So with that, welcome to 1 Million Cups Dallas. Any newcomers here, first timers? Awesome. All right. Very good. Thank you. Welcome. My name is Mark. I'm one of the volunteer coordinators here. And so 1 Million Cups is actually a free national program. It was put together by the Coffin Foundation starting in Kansas City and is now over 115 cities across the country over just over 5 years. And it was designed to educate, engage, and connect entrepreneurs over 1 million cups of coffee. That's where it gets its name. So we've got an app, so make sure to check out the app, check in on it. You can also connect with, you can contact the presenters directly or us as the coordinators with any kind of feedback on, things that you think would work better, ideas, and great feedback as well. Of course, we always welcome. We also have Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and we will be recording, so make sure to check out our YouTube channel. It takes about a week to get on, but when we do get to the Q&A section, make sure to get the wait for the microphone to come to you so that we can pick it up and everybody can hear you. The format is 9 a.m. Wednesday mornings, and that's nationwide. All the different 1 Million Cups all do it at 9 a.m. in their time zone. We have 2 pitches each for 6 minutes. At the end of that 6 minutes, whether they're done or not, we will start applauding and move on to Q&A, so make sure to help us out with that. And then we'll have 10 to 15 minutes of Q&A after, and again, wait for the microphone. So with that, please stand up and help us welcome Grant Mankin and Ryan McDaniel with Youth Entrepreneurs.
I'm going to try to do a good job avoiding this cord. I feel like Eddie Murphy over here with this cord. So, my name is Grant Mankin. I am the local director for an organization called Youth Entrepreneurs. And this is Ryan McDaniel. He's the development director for Youth Entrepreneurs in this area. And we are here to tell you about our organization. So this is going to be a little bit different pitch than you're normally used to hearing. But we think that this is really relevant and a really fantastic way for you to get involved in entrepreneurship with a younger generation. So, just really quickly, I'm not going to read you what our mission is. You guys can read, but I am going to highlight a couple of these words because these are the big things: the self-reliance, the values and skills, and the entrepreneurship. So we are called Youth Entrepreneurs. We have entrepreneurs in our name. But the reason that we call ourselves and want our students to learn about entrepreneurship is not just to become business owners. 29% of our graduates who graduate our class, they do start their own business, run their own business, hire staffs. But 71% go into the workforce or go to school. And what we want them to understand is the relevance and the importance of thinking like an entrepreneur. If we can get them to align their idea of what value creation is for them with creating value for others, be it a customer, a boss, a professor, whoever that might be, we feel like they're going to be more successful. If we can get them to think like an owner in whatever they are doing, they're going to be even more successful in whatever they choose to do. So the 3 big goals that we have, just wanted to talk through these. It kind of speaks to what I just mentioned. We want our students to learn about what it's like to start a business. I'll talk a little bit about how we have them do that in our class. We also really want them to understand what it's like to think like an entrepreneur, whether they're owning a business or not. If they want to go into finance, if they want to go into banking, be an accountant, be a lawyer, work at an aircraft manufacturing plant. We want them to understand the importance of thinking like an owner, and we also want them to understand the importance of seeking knowledge past high school and whatever they do. So that could be trade school, that could be college. We as an organization target low resource students. That's what we call them. We target low resource students, districts, and schools. That means that our students, for most of them, 4-year college is not a reality. We want it to become more relevant and more of a reality to them, but we also realize that college isn't for everyone. So we want them to see the value in knowledge and not tie seeking knowledge only to 4-year college. So here's just some data on our schools, and I thought I would talk specifically about DFW. So YE, Youth Entrepreneurs, we've been around since 1991. We are brand new to Dallas-Fort Worth, brand new to the state of Texas. We have been in Dallas-Fort Worth for about a year now, almost one full year, one full school year. We are currently in 8 area schools. We piloted this year in 4 public districts and with 4 public charter programs. Next year we will grow 8 more. We will pilot in more schools in DISD and Fort Worth ISD, pilot more classes in Arlington ISD, and we will also be growing into a program in Corsicana, Texas. One thing that I didn't mention that I want to make sure and highlight, Ryan will talk more about this, is that we are a 501c3. So we are a not-for-profit. I'll let Ryan go into the details about how that funding breaks down. But when we grow into these schools, oftentimes we have a lot of demand. Specifically Dallas ISD, there's 34 high schools in just Dallas Independent School District. 85,000 high school students just in Dallas Independent School District. And Dr. Hinojosa, who's the superintendent, has made it clear he wants us in all of those schools. But we can't just flip a switch. In order for our programs to go into these schools, not only do we want to be thoughtful about where we go and how we grow, we want to be thoughtful about how the people who are funding these programs in our schools are doing that as well. We run lean. There's only 4 of us on a staff here. 3 of us are here today. And the 4 of us have to cover all of this ground. And you guys know as well as I do, Dallas-Fort Worth is not the easiest city or the most fun city to get around in. So we want to be thoughtful about how we do that. The last thing that I want to talk a little bit about is what our class looks like as part of our program. And then I'll turn it over to Ryan. So Youth Entrepreneurs is a full year, full credit, most of the time elective course in high schools around the country. So these students are taking our class as part of their curriculum during the day at school. It's not a club, it's not a program, it is a classroom experience with a curriculum. But that curriculum is just part of our program. The big, robust part that we want to really highlight and an area where you guys can be really helpful is our community kind of interaction, what we call our academy. Everything that happens outside of the classroom. We believe that students aren't going to learn by doing tests, at least not what we want them to learn by doing tests. We believe that you can't really learn about thinking like an entrepreneur if you're doing worksheets and sitting in a computer. Our class is experiential. So on that, speaking of academy, I'm going to turn it over to Ryan and let him talk a little bit more.
All right, from a development perspective, it's good to be with you all, by the way. From a development perspective, we take a very unique approach to donor gifts and donor dollars. 100% of the donor dollars that are generously given to YE go directly to support the program. So from a donor's perspective, what that means for them is that all of my salary, expenses, etc., is privately underwritten and funded. So 100% of their money is going to exactly what matters, which is the kids. To dive a little deeper with the last few seconds we have, the donors that we are looking for are entrepreneurial in mindset. They understand that making mistakes is okay. They are philosophically aligned with what we're looking to do, and those can be individuals, corporations, foundations, etc. So I think we're out of time. We'll open it up for Q&A. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So this is your opportunity to ask questions, but also provide feedback. Tell them how they can improve their presentation up here. But any questions to get us started? First question that we always ask is, what can this community do to help you?
Wonderful. For us, it's a very easy answer. We are an untapped market. We're brand new in Texas. It's a massive area, right? So we need introductions to the relationships that are aligned with what we're trying to do. Those individuals, those corporations that have the mindset that entrepreneurship is what's driving our future. And helping these kids think differently and owning their situation in life and thinking differently about their path in life, we need connections to those people that ultimately lead to donor dollars. And we need engagement from the community, from a volunteerism perspective. Those would be the 2 biggest things that we would need from the entrepreneurial community here.
Outstanding. Okay, questions? Questions, feedback in the back?
Great job, great concept. And just a quick aside, as a corporate contributor, I spent about $3 million a year for several years to undo or create, I should say, what academia wasn't providing for my employment base. So great job, need that. What's success? Is it grades? Is it moving on to higher education? How do y'all define that?
It's a great question. So I think short answer to that is it depends. One of the things that we really try to hit home, or we try to communicate to our teachers to then hit home in the classroom, is that we want the students to have the freedom and the desire to set what success is for those students. From an organizational standpoint, we have 8 foundational values that are called that for a reason, that we build everything we do on. And at the end of our class, at the end of the alumni's time with us, if we feel like they are able to use those foundational values in order to create value, whatever that might look like in the real world, then we feel like we've succeeded. We have lots of success stories from, students that have started their own business. We've had students on Shark Tank before. Those are wonderful, and we're so proud of those, but we are equally as proud of the students who are the first ones to attend a college, or the students that go to welding school and become a welder. These students have real life issues, and so the bar of success moves for whichever student we're dealing with. I think for us, success looks like these students understanding what success can look like for them in a different way.
All right, thank you. More questions? Right here?
Hello. You mentioned high school was kind of the target. What's the youngest age group that you guys begin with?
Good question. So currently, our curriculum is designed for high school. So we leave a lot of the decision rights on where the school wants to place the curriculum, but typically it's 10th and 11th grade. Every now and then we get freshmen, every now and then we get seniors. Just depends on the school.
I have a question. You're talking about while the school term is in, those kind of classes, or after school classes?
No, ma'am, it is a class they elect to take or as part of a career and technical education pathway during the school day. So 7th period, 8th period, whatever it might be, they take our class.
And so in that, those people that take these as an elective, is that something that could translate into college credit hours at all?
Yeah, I mean, yes, ma'am. It speaks to their overall credits that they need to graduate from high school. So it just depends on if it's an extra credit that they have that they can then move on to high school. Currently, it's not like an AP class or something like that translates directly to college. But we certainly feel like what they learn in our class is going to create a much more relevant college experience if they choose to go to college.
Hey, right here. One feedback: on the pie chart, I would love some bigger numbers. So they were a little tiny to see, even with my glasses on. But other than that, no, awesome presentation. I've known about you guys a little bit before you guys presented, so it was awesome. In terms of, you mentioned the I guess the non-traditional, they may not go to the 4-year college, etc. Are you guys tying in maybe other types of education, or at least maybe help them get, maybe not like a coding boot camp, but something to maybe give them even closer to a job sooner besides the entrepreneurial skills to, say, hey, I'm not going to do the college thing, but either I can do this based on my entrepreneurial knowledge plus this technical skill set I may take, I can actually do X, and have there been any use cases for that, if that makes sense?
Yeah, that does make sense. Thank you for the feedback, by the way. Well, we'll make those numbers bigger. Absolutely. I mean, I would even say coding boot camp is not out of the question. So what we want our students to understand is the importance of seeking knowledge in whatever way that translates to for them. So we ask them to think about things that they're passionate about, things that they care about, things that they might feel like they could be good at. And then we try to remove barriers between them and those opportunities. We don't pay them to do those opportunities. The way that we try to incentivize them, one of our foundational values is we want them to be opportunity obsessed. But in order to do that, some of them have barriers that they cannot remove, and we want to play that role. So coding camp could have a $50 fee. We want to try to be able to lower that barrier for them. Here, transportation is huge. Our students can't get anywhere. It's a big city. They may have one car for a family of 12. They take buses to get to school, so they can't get to these things. We want to remove that barrier. But we want them to not see those as barriers, so that a coding camp, a band camp, whatever it might be for them, we want them to build skills, but more than that, we want them to seek knowledge from others.
Thank you. In the back.
Hey guys, I really really like what you're doing here, and I was just wondering if you had like a content strategy for like social media outreach, just since so many of these kids are obviously really highly connected there.
Yeah, we absolutely do. So we are lucky, like I said, we were founded in 1991, and so we have a national kind of headquarters, and a part of that national headquarters is a pretty significant marketing kind of arm. I think we're getting better. I think we have a long way to go. We're working on kind of developing a lot of things that are going to speak more directly to our students. One of the things about us, though, is that we're fully invested in our students, but the way that we do that is by investing heavily in our teachers. We believe that they're the culture creators. They're the ones that create the culture in the classroom. So we try to speak to our students on their level, speak to our alumni who are still sometimes high school students in a way that they can understand via social media. But at the same time, I think we're figuring out how better to balance how we communicate with teachers and how we communicate with our students, if that makes sense.
I'll just piggyback on that. We've had the national perspective that Grant mentioned. There's a very targeted approach right now that will be rolled out in the next couple of months, specific to the various regions in which we serve, right? So DFW specific, whether that be Dallas specific, Fort Worth specific, Arizona, LA, Chicago, you name it. So you'll see a more regional focus. If you do some research and look at social media stuff now, you're going to see a very, very regional approach in the future, which I think would come.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, you?
Good. Great, thank you.
Wonderful. Great presentation. I'm going to start my little spiel about like one recommendation. So just be wary of your stance and like where you're standing. I noticed a little bit of like back and forth pacing and a little bit ADD, so like it like affects me in my concentration on the presentation. But besides that, you know, plank staying is pretty good. Question: how do volunteers get involved? I'm asking because I go to SMU and I have like a lot of friends who really want to like either are currently working with kids in high school or anything like that, working on college reps and stuff like that. And I'm really curious about that and how I could possibly get involved.
Great, thank you. Thanks for the feedback. Yeah, absolutely. So we have some forms over here. Miss Tiffany Jasper Jones, say hi. Tiffany is who works with our volunteers, would work with the SMU volunteers on the Dallas side. So chat with her, she'll get you a link, and all you do is you go online and you sign up, and as soon as you pass, the background check goes through, get signed up, then we try to find a school for you, find ways for you to be involved. We would love to be, we're big fans of the O'Neill Center, big fans of the Cox Center at SMU, so we would love to have that.
We are currently working with some organizations here in town as we establish our footprint that I think will lend itself very well to volunteerism opportunities and some networking opportunities, not only for our kids, but for various universities, because we're in contact with a number of universities, SMU being one of them right now, about how we can kind of be a feeder or a filter so that some of our kids could experience the greatness that is SMU based on what they've been accustomed to in the past.
Over here, guys.
Hi. Okay, so question. I know you guys serve, the high school populations. Have you guys thought about working with nonprofits that serve similar populations to do workshops or something that's kind of outside of the classroom?
Great question. Yes, and we have kind of experimented with what we call non-traditional programs. So we've worked and done camps with Big Brothers Big Sisters. We've worked and done camps with Boys and Girls Club. And we've also kind of facilitated some children's home type of kind of learning environments. So after hours, depending on their schedule. But that's a great idea. We'd love to get connected to more of those that are willing here.
Logan, you said that you were looking for donors, but you had a variety of different sources. So far, out of your experience, what has been the best resource for donors so far for you?
We have a network of individuals who have been aware of our program nationally for about 25 years, right? Individuals and foundations is where it comes from. At the end of the day, corporate giving is about 5% on the national average. It's about 3.5% to 4% here in our market. We have a big budget to meet in the next couple of years for our expansion. That will come from individuals, high net worth individuals, foundations who at the end of the day are individuals or families. What I have found from a development perspective is even though corporate giving is a much smaller number, there are people within those corporations that are well connected, right? And I take a very grassroots approach. It's about having a conversation and getting to tell the story about how we're changing lives. And when we have the opportunity to do that, then Connection A leads to Connection B, which ultimately leads to donor dollars. So I focus on the individuals and the individual relationships and cultivating those appropriately. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely, thank you.
Great name, by the way, Ryan. Thanks.
Christopher, great presentation. I came in a little bit late. I don't know if you guys already covered this, but which high schools are you currently in? And I'm guessing you go to more at-risk type of students. And could you define what at-risk is to you guys? Because I know there's a lot of definitions. So.
Sure, good question. And I did not mention the school, so thank you for asking. So fall 2017, we will be in 6 DISD schools: Samuel, Kimball, Sunset, Skyline, Lincoln, and what's the 6th one? Jefferson, yeah. And then in Fort Worth, we'll be in Benbrook, Dunbar, and Trimble Tech. We're at Crowley CTE Center and Arlington CTE Center, which both of those CTE centers draw from all of the high schools. And then we'll have a program in Corsicana High School as well. And then we have 4 Responsive Education Solutions. It's a charter program. We have 4 of their premier schools. Their premier schools are for students who are either trying to recover credit or have been asked to not come back to public school. And you're correct. We call them low resource, and where we start targeting those school districts is above a 60% free and reduced rate for the district or the school. That's where we start, and then we dig a little bit deeper. DISD is a pretty easy target. It's 100% free and reduced, so it's a pretty good place to go. After that, specifically to DISD, the schools that we're targeting, we have partners who also work in those schools. So University of North Texas, Dallas has a big presence in a lot of those schools. And then we targeted those zip codes as well. So we look for community partners to help us figure out where those schools with the most need are, because especially for us being new to this area, schools change the way that they have needs all the time, and the community partners who've been in that community working with those schools have a better idea.
Okay, last question, and I'm going to give you only 30 seconds to answer it, okay?
Great presentation. Could you just contrast for a moment what you do with other organizations that maybe sound similar, like Junior Achievement or Build?
Sure. So I think the big difference between us and those is our curriculum is a full year, full credit curriculum, but I think the big difference in what we do and what they do is our foundational values. We have some information over there on those, but when you're trying to teach someone to think like an entrepreneur, you have to have something to base that on. And we believe our 8 foundational values are valuable to these students regardless of what they do. JA is a great program, Build is a great program, Tech is a great program. They have different focus than we do. Our idea of success, I think, is different than what theirs might be. Thank you, everyone.
All right, so a couple of quick announcements. We have, first of all, on the 28th, we have a special event. So we're starting to do some different events in the last event of each month. And so this month, we're going to do something kind of different. The Fort Worth chapter has done this recently, and it went well, so we're copying them, basically. Where we'll have, if those of you have been coming a lot and you've got some ideas or something you want to do, but you've been reluctant, you don't want to do the full pitch with Q&A, but you would like to get a little practice, maybe just throwing it out there and seeing how people react. We'll be doing 3-minute pitches called Latte, with 3 questions from the audience following that. And then after those, we'll probably do about 3 of those and then switch to the 30-second quick ideas. And so have some ideas and ready, and if we've got enough time, we might even be able to come up for a couple of different ideas we want to try out. So keep that in mind. A couple more weeks to June 28th. And then, of course, the following week is July 5th. So with hangovers and everything, we're probably not going to, we don't expect many people to be here, so we're not going to be having that event that week as well. So anyway, with that, we'd like to thank our sponsors. We'd like to thank Butler Brothers Building. They're our coffee sponsor. They're a new luxury apartment community at 500 South Irving. If you haven't heard of them yet, check them out, but thank you for supplying the coffee this month. Thank you to Merja with Kurt 2 for the tasty treats each week. And then thank you to Dev Mountain, who provides the video equipment and posts this up to YouTube each week. And finally, thank you to The Deck as our host space. They've been hosting us for many years now, since the beginning, so thank you. If you don't already know, you can actually come in for a free co-working after Women in Cups every Wednesday. So feel free to hang out, grab another cup of coffee, and find a space, pull out a laptop or phone, and get some work done. And if you are interested in learning more about The Deck and the services they have and so on, see Emmanuel over here. He can give you a tour. He's the one waving over the corner there. All right, let's give a hand to our sponsors. We're also looking for additional volunteers, so it's a one-year commitment for all of ours, and we'll have some rolling off soon. We're looking to have a full 8. We have 5 right now with a couple rolling off soon, so anybody is interested, we just need help on the day of the event and then some back-end duties. So check with any of the volunteers here, so Andrew, Lindsay, myself, or Matt's hiding right now, but just check with any of us. We can tell you a little bit more about that, but we're starting a new class coming up here in the beginning of July, so let us know. And I guess that's everything. So for our next presenters, let's stand and welcome Cameron Cushman from the Groom Room.
Thanks, Dallas. It's really awesome to be here today. I want to apologize in advance. I think I'm a little overdressed. The tuxedo probably wasn't appropriate today, so I apologize for that. But thanks for welcoming me anyway. I'm here today to talk about my startup, My Groom Room, and it solves a problem in the wedding industry, and we think we're trying to solve it in a pretty unique way. So, a wedding is something that a bride has dreamed of her entire life, right? She's been thinking about what her dress is going to look like, how she walks down the aisle, what the venue's going to be, the flowers, all of that. And in the hours before her wedding, she has a beautiful space in which to get ready, right? You may have seen some places like this, right? She and her bridesmaids can spend all morning, all day, putting on their makeup, getting ready, connecting, hanging out, having a good time, getting ready for her big day. But the groom and the groomsmen, get this. So they tend to be stuck in like a preschool classroom, a basement, a closet, a utility room, nothing that's very fun, right? And to make that worse, they're stuck at the event 3, 4, 5 hours before the wedding because they gotta be there to take pictures and because the bride wants to know that they're gonna be there and that they're gonna be ready. And guess what? These guys get bored to tears, right? They're not having any fun. They are bored out of their minds, but they gotta be there, they gotta check the box. So, and one other thing too, we really don't want the grooms to be these guys. Anybody remember this? Anybody know this movie? The Hangover? Really? All right, so remember this at the very end when the tuxedo shop shows up and he's literally like throwing the tuxedos into the car and they're putting them on the way there. We don't want grooms to be in that situation, right? This is their big day. We want them to be relaxed. We want them to be having fun. We want them to be not anxious about, am I going to make it to the church on time? Am I going to be ready? We want to make sure that they have an exciting, fun, relaxing place where they can get ready before their wedding. So, we created the My Groom Room solution. So our idea is that we want to bring in a tricked out RV to your wedding venue and give you a really fun place to hang out in the 3 or 4 or 5 hours before your wedding. Weddings tend to happen on Saturdays, right? What else happens on Saturdays? College football games, baseball games, right? You don't want to miss your college football game because you're sitting at a wedding waiting to get your picture taken, right? These guys have satellite TV. They have video games. We can play yard games out in front. Food, beverages. They have their own bathroom. showers if you needed to get ready. RVs have come a long way since what Cousin Eddie brought to Clark Griswold's house, right? And so this is what we want to do, is bring in this solution to give grooms a fun place to hang out in the hours before their wedding. We want to make the pre-wedding as fun as the reception, right? We want to bring some of that fun of tailgating, of barbecues, of playing yard games to the pre-wedding experience and not just at the reception. So here's a little bit about our pricing and our packages. A couple of things here. One is we know that every wedding is a little bit unique. So these packages are really just designed to be guideposts. But what we want to do is talk to our customers in advance. What are your goals? How many groomsmen are there? What does your venue look like? There's a lot of different add-on services that we can potentially provide, but we need to talk to you first to know what your goals are for your wedding and what your plan is. These packages are again, just some guideposts and some ideas. And to be totally honest, we are looking for the higher end weddings, right? Our target market is not somebody who's on a shoestring budget to get married. We're targeting the groups that are going to spend at least $25,000 to $30,000 on their wedding. Talked to a local event planner here in town. She said she does several $100,000 weddings a year, which kind of blew my mind that people spend that much money on their weddings. So if our prices may seem a little bit high, that is because we're going for that specific target market. It also is expensive to bring an RV and do all this, because RVs are certainly not cheap. So we've run a couple of test runs so far. Our first test was in early March. We're kind of following the lean methodology. We're testing and we're learning continuously. Full disclosure, I have not bought an RV yet. I wanted to make sure that this concept worked before I went and dropped $100,000 on an RV, right? So our first test was at Randy and Amy's wedding at Arbor Lawn United Methodist Church in Fort Worth. We tested a lot of things out. Would the groom say yes? Would the bride say yes? Would the wedding coordinator approve it at the church? We kept getting yeses. We had a great event, and it was a lot of fun, and the grooms had a fun place to hang out, and the groom told me afterwards, he said, I just felt more relaxed. I was kind of anxious about getting married, but because I was able to hang out in a fun space, it really took some of the edge off. Our second test was at an event not too far from here at the Hickory Street Annex in Deep Ellum. We did that at the end of April with a 1 Million Cups alum called Pralia. You guys remember her from a few months ago? So we teamed up and brought the groom room out there to show off to about 70 to 80 mostly brides, but some grooms were there as well. We just believed that showing our concept to them was the best way to show what we were doing. You'll also notice that in the bottom left there, that is a picture of the bride's room. They have this beautiful bride room at the Hickory Street Annex. And I asked the the event space coordinator, I said, okay, well, just let me ask, where do the grooms get ready? Oh, we have a bathroom. So the bride had her own beautiful space in which to get ready, and the guys got a bathroom. So where are we? As I mentioned, we're running really lean. We are trying to test the concept and in the proof of concept phase, and we are faking it till we make it, right? We're trying to keep our advertising budget as low as possible till we get a few bookings under our belts. Then eventually we will kind of move forward, potentially buying an RV or a fleet of RVs in the future. We have run some social media ads, as you can see. We've signed up for the free advertising on theknot.com and other places. And here's the future. We want to book 5 events this year, and then hopefully end up purchasing an RV or a series of RVs to offer a different experience for different weddings. So that's what we're up to at My Groom Room. If you know anybody getting married in the next few months or years, let us know. We'd love to find a way to serve them. Thank you.
So our first question is always, what can this community do for you?
Andrew, I'm so glad you asked. I came prepared for this one, actually. Customers. Like I say, we're in the proof of concept phase. We really just got started in late February, so we need customers, right? This is June, the wedding month. I know there's lots of weddings going on around town. We know that there are some really bad venues that we can help them solve a problem. So if you know anybody getting married, please like us on social media, connect us to them. We would love to have a discussion with them about how we might be able to help. The next thing is, the most important thing is we're actually launching a contest today. We're going to give away a $100 Amazon gift card for photos of grooms in bad situations. Groom Gloom, we're calling it. Use this hashtag mostly on Instagram for GR Hall of Shame, and we're going to post all the pictures of grooms in bad situations, stuck in bathrooms and closets and basements before their weddings. And we're going to build this up as the Groom Room Hall of Shame. And if you submit between now and July 4th, you can register to win a $100 Amazon gift card. Also, earn media connections to wedding vendors. I'll talk to anybody, your florist, your photographer, whoever it is. The wedding industry is very well connected, and so to be able to just have people know what I'm doing is would be huge. So that's what you guys can do to help.
Thanks, Cameron. So any questions? Right here.
Hey, Cameron. So my question is for target messaging for marketing. Usually the women are the ones that are organizing and planning, and they're with the event planners and all that stuff. So is there any target messaging you have specifically to the females, to the brides, to convince them to have their grooms have this experience?
Great question, and I think this is probably the most overarching question that I have about how the business is going to work is who is our target customer? Because, you know, grooms don't think about this. They're focused on the honeymoon or the getaway car or other things like that. They're not really thinking about this. We want them to be thinking about this, which is where the Groom Room Hall of Shame comes in. And we're really just going to define the problem. However, we all know that the bride kind of controls the day, right? But is it really the bride or is it the wedding planner, right? Because the wedding planner sometimes is just given a budget and then they get to allocate those funds according to what the bride wants to pull off a good event. I also think there might be a way where the bride's mother wants to provide this, right? Or, and this is where I think we might have our biggest target market, is actually the groom's mother. The groom's mother may want to provide this and give it as a gift to her son for his buddies to hang out in right before the wedding. So I think each one of those slices could be a potential customer segment for us. I'm not really sure which one is actually going to be writing the check, contacting us, but that's another one of those things that we're testing is who is going to be our target market. Most of our targeting has been done at brides so far. This Groom Room Hall of Shame is actually going towards the grooms because we think they're the ones that have the pictures. Also at photographers because guess what? Photographers don't take pictures of guys in bad situations, right? They bring them outside, they bring them into the church, they take the photos in nice places, right? So sometimes they don't even have those photos, but your buddies might have snapped them on their iPhone or whatever that looks like. So that's really what we're after. So that's really the biggest question for me is who's ultimately going to be our purchaser? Yes, Brian.
Yes. Have you targeted venues to see about partnering with them? It sounds like it's a pretty common issue that the Groom's Room, they just don't have that. With theirs being mobile, I mean, is there partnership opportunities to figure out a package that these wedding planners, when they go to these venues, they can present it for you?
Yeah, so I've got a list a mile long of people that I have already reached out to and I'm continuing to reach out to. Vendors, wedding planners, florists, you name it. My hunch is, so yes is the answer. And I've got some pretty good feedback so far. I've got a lot more work to do on that, to be totally honest. My hunch is that there are going to be certain venues where this is a bigger problem than others. Some churches haven't figured out and they don't need this, right? Some wedding venues were built specifically as a wedding venue and they built their own Groom Room version into that space. I think our biggest hit is going to be, one thing I've learned is that people aren't getting married in churches like they used to. They're getting married at these specific event spaces. And a lot of times they're antique barns or they're really old places that have been renovated, old mansions, and they just don't have the space. So if I can partner up with a few of those where it's a real problem, then I think that's going to be our biggest source of leads and source of new business. So I'm looking for those. I had a groom tell me after I presented in Fort Worth, he said, yeah, I got married at this old barn and it was really cool. It was out in the middle of nowhere. It was really hard to find. And literally the place they had for the grooms to get ready was a lean-to. I said, what do you mean? He said, yeah, it was like 4 posts and like a slanted roof. It was outside. There was no air conditioning, no bathroom, no nothing. I said, really? Well, that's the perfect one. That's the perfect target for a groom room is if you got a lean-to or you got my tripped out RV, I think you'll pick us every time.
Thank you. So more questions? Feedback?
I don't need the mic. Good
Can you just wait
presentation.
for the mic just because we record it for YouTube? Thank you.
No problem.
I think you have an interesting idea. One thought is, when you're thinking about targeting, it seems to me like you might want to create a culture and actually communicate to the guys. So the guys get a sense of, we want to have our experience too. You know, like at my wedding, it wasn't all about me. My husband wanted to have his experience too, so he had his own coming down the aisle entrance. And so actually he got a lot of attention. And so it feels to me like this idea is, you got to start speaking to the guys, and then the guys will jump on board and then keep that going, without ignoring the bride, of course, because you want her to be on board too. Second point, you talked about going after a high-end market. I think you're going to have a little bit of trouble with the high-end people wanting to go with an RV. Just a thought. So it might be a good idea to kind of see if high luxury people would even be interested in RVs?
Great points on both, and I'll be totally honest, I've done a lot of thinking about both of those points. Part of the reason we're doing this Groom Room Hall of Shame is for that very purpose, because people don't think that they know it's a problem, but they know it's a problem after the fact. And so we want to educate them a little bit more and get them thinking about it in advance, because I think you're right, it's a cultural thing. We've got to think of that in advance, right? Somebody walked down the aisle in the wedding industry 100 years ago, now everybody does it, right? Nobody spends their time in an RV before their wedding. Well, that's the kind of culture that I need to create, right? Is it becomes more of an expectation. I think also, too, it's going to be a word of mouth thing, right? I'm going to do one wedding. It has 8 groomsmen. Each one of those guys is getting married in the next 6 months to 2 years. They're all going to tell their buddies, and then it's going to spread from there.
Right.
So I think you're exactly right. Cool. I'll be totally honest, too. I'm not sure that the higher end clients are going to buy an RV. I really don't know that that's an issue, or I really think that could be an issue. This is what we're testing though, right? There's a specific subset of the population that thinks RVs are cool. There's a specific subset that thinks they're like Cousin Eddie and they would never, ever, ever have that at their wedding. I've talked to a lot of wedding vendors about this problem. Everybody really likes the idea, but the phase I'm in is I'm not having those paying customers. So you may be right, and if you know, we get to the end of the year and nobody's purchased an RV, that's probably going to be one of the reasons why it didn't take off.
Sure. And that just might have to do with, you know, finding a different group of people to go after.
Right.
Another thought is thinking about investing in the RVs. Why would you want to invest in the RVs? Because you might have, you know, say there's somebody that's in, I don't know, Alberta, or somebody that's in Missouri or something, but you own your RVs here in Dallas. What happens then?
Great question. I think the long run plan for this business is potentially a franchise model. And so there are hundreds of people, thousands of people who owns RVs around the country. I mean, just drive around some of the freeways around here, you see some giant RV dealerships, right? Those guys wouldn't exist unless people were coming in every weekend to buy RVs, right? Somewhere between 48 and 50 weeks out of the year, that's sitting in a storage facility, not making any money, not doing anything. Some people are fine with that because they only want it for their personal use, and I'm fine with that. But there are websites like one called RV Share, where people rent out their RVs just like you'd rent a hotel for $200, $300, $400, $500 a night for the family who wants to drive it to Yellowstone. They don't want to own one, they want to take this once in a lifetime kind of trip. So this is my idea too, is how do we kind of provide the packaging so you could have Groom Room in Alberta or wherever you want. You pay us for the franchise fee to get the marketing, to get the help, to get the business plan, to get all that stuff, but you use your own RV as the mechanism to book up all your Saturdays to pay your RV. So we're not quite there yet, but that's definitely where I think this could be headed, is if we can solve this problem enough and kind of prove that the model works and that people are willing to pay for it, then we can show those results to RV owners across the country.
Excellent.
Okay, more questions? In the back?
There's one stakeholder I haven't really heard you mention, and you're talking about paying customers, and one of the things I thought of is that a lot of times people getting married are younger, and they're not the ones signing the check, the parents are. So are you doing anything to target parents?
So that's a great question. One of the ways we could potentially go with this, and again, I'm trying to run as lean as possible, so I'm watching my marketing dollars very carefully, but I had a discussion just yesterday with the person who runs the 6 wedding shows in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. The next one is actually in Dallas at the end of July. And, you know, I mean, they bring thousands and thousands of people through, and I said, okay, well, what's your, who usually comes? They said, well, it's always the bride, sometimes it's the bridesmaids or a friend, and it's usually mom, right? And so you're absolutely right. That is, I think, one of our key target markets is the mother of the groom and the mother of the bride. Because you're right, they're the ones that are going to ultimately be writing the check. The groom's going to spend his money on the honeymoon. The groom's going to spend his money on the getaway car or whatever he wants to do. He's not spending it on this. But I also do like the idea that you can give my groom room as a gift, right? That was one of the big mistakes I made at my wedding to my beautiful bride, who's up here in the front, is I didn't have a wedding gift for her on the day of. I got everything else ready. I was like, oh no, I didn't know I was supposed to do that. Oops, that's not good. She had something for me, and I was totally empty-handed. If she could surprise me with something like my groom room, hey honey, this is our big day, here we go, congratulations, I think that might be a really cool way to sell it to a certain subset of people. But I think you're right, the people who ultimately write the check is the mother of the bride, probably more so than anybody else, and potentially the mother of the family of the groom.
Okay, we've got time for 2 more questions. Questions, feedback? Questions?
I didn't do that good of a job. Come on.
You did a great job. But first of all, I've got a question. So beyond client acquisition, what has been the most difficult part about starting your business?
I'll be totally honest, I knew nothing about the wedding industry and I knew nothing about the RV industry. So I've kind of had to learn, I'm kind of melding those two worlds together. And so I've had to learn a lot about both of those industries. The way I've rented the RVs in the past for our two previous events is you go and you show up and they spend an hour walking you through everything you need to know about an RV. Well, I'm not setting it up at a campsite. I'm going to run the generator the whole time. I'm not plugging into the 50 amp service and things like that. And so I've learned a lot of stuff about them because I will need to know that at some point, but it's not something that I necessarily always have to know. And the last one I rented was in Prosper, and I live in Southwest Fort Worth. So it was an hour and a half drive to get there, spend an hour to pick it up, and then an hour and a half drive back in a crazy oncoming storm. And so it's been an interesting experience, just kind of learning about the wedding industry and then learning about the RV industry. So I think that's been the biggest challenge. It's also been fascinating, though, stuff I never knew and never thought I would ever need to know. So it's been really interesting to me.
Great, good to hear. One more question, and then we're going to wrap it up.
A good presentation. I feel good about my wedding because I had a beautiful house all to myself to get ready in and enjoy.
You would not be my customer.
No. You're a great salesman. You have a nice, kind of tone and way of speaking. You should definitely get into sales.
I've heard that.
The concept is good. I don't know that you necessarily, though, have to focus on an RV, right? Because the room could be anything, and your business could provide either an RV or a house next door, a hotel suite, whatever, is in close proximity to the wedding, and provide all the features that you provide in the RV, right? So that's a possible concept. The other thing I think you should do is you should sit with this young lady over here and just brainstorm for a couple of hours on all these ideas, because I think you have a lot of really good ideas to just kind of to float. So
yeah, this is
good luck to you.
Great, thank you so much for saying that, because that's exactly what I'm looking for. I don't begin to think I have all the answers. I don't know who's ultimately going to buy this service. I want to hear from you guys, because you guys are the ones who are making the wedding decisions. You're the ones who are about to get married, and you know your venue through and through. I'd be curious to know, did you even ask that question? What was the groom going to say? Oh, he gets this bathroom. Oh, well, that's kind of a crummy thing. I need to get people asking that kind of question. So guys, I would love your feedback. Information is up here, and please just tell me what you think. If you think this is a horrible idea, I need to hear that. If you think this is the best idea ever, I need to hear that as well. And then any kind of like nuanced little comments like yours, I love that. Feedback is super important. And I've got cards down front. Email me, call me in the middle of the night, whatever you want. I would love to hear more feedback from you guys, because you're ultimately going to be my customers and the people who are going to connect me to wedding vendors and other your friends and family who are getting married in the near future. So thank you very much, Dallas. I really appreciate it. It was awesome to be here today.
All right. Oh, one last idea for marketing: strip clubs. That's wherever they go for bachelor parties, including. All right. So follow us on social media. Don't forget. Make sure to check in if you haven't before you get out of here. And then we wanted to say thank you for coming out, and we will see you again next week. Thank you.